Hey everybody, so I have here on me the new laptop from Chuwi. So Chuwi is a Shenzhen based company that specializes in making budget laptops and tablets. Even though they're quite cheap, they sound relatively cheap, they look pretty nice. So this is the Chuwi LapBook Plus, and it has one major selling point. Well, actually two major selling points. So the selling point is that this is a 15.6-inch display with 4K resolution. And the second selling point that ties into the screen is this laptop sells for 440 bucks American dollars, so 440 US dollars. And I don't think we've seen that before. A 4K resolution display for under 500 bucks, that's unheard of. Now there are some compromises that Chuwi's made here, and depending on who you are, it might be a deal breaker. So let me show you a 4K video really quick. So whether it's streaming off YouTube or Netflix, 4K content looks great on the screen. As you can see, viewing angles are pretty good, and maximum brightness on this thing gets kind of high too. It's bright enough for outdoor use. Like this right here, believe it or not, it's actually minimal brightness right now. I made it minimal brightness so it'll look good on the screen, because if I go any higher, you see I go and it becomes overexposed. So this screen actually gets pretty bright. Now here's the catch. 4K content looks good if you're not doing anything else with the laptop. So the moment you try to open a new tab on Chrome to, I don't know, just go on your blog or go on a website, or the moment you try to fast forward or backtrack on the video, that's when the entire machine slows down to a crawl. So the reason for that is because the processor inside this laptop, it's not that powerful at all. It's an Intel Atom E3950 processor. So that's a pretty old chipset and also relatively underpowered. That chipset was not designed to power something as power consuming as a 4K display, but to Chuwi's credit, they did manage to get it to work. You know, when you're playing 4K videos, it's fine, but it's just that if you try to do anything else, then you start seeing stutter immediately. Now to be fair, this only happens if you're streaming 4K videos. So if you're watching normal 1080p videos, or you're doing other type of multitasking, like earlier today, I was writing a Word document while streaming Spotify, while responding to WhatsApp chats on WhatsApp web. So I have 3 different Chrome tabs open, doing 3 different things, and the computer handled everything just fine. It's only when you're trying to watch 4K video does the machine basically become like a single duty device. You can't do anything else on it while playing 4K video. And that puts the Chuwi LapBook Plus in a little bit of a funny predicament. They advertise this as a 4K laptop, and this is a 4K laptop, but when it's playing 4K content, it can't do anything else. It literally, when you're watching 4K video, you might as well put your hands behind your head and just enjoy the footage, because you ain't doing shit. Anyway, I'll talk a little bit more about performance later. Let's look at the overall build of the laptop and the casing. So as you can see, this is a very clear MacBook Air, MacBook Pro inspired design. I think a lot of Chinese laptops look this way. So for this price, for $440 laptop, construction's pretty nice. The hinge is actually pretty sturdy. You see it doesn't wobble when I move the laptop around, and you can open pretty wide. So the hinge feels pretty good. The overall coating over this aluminum feels nice and premium. This is what Apple would call space gray. The edges of the laptop are chamfered, so you can run your fingers through it and it feels pretty nice, pretty smooth. And if you look at the bezels around the screen, even though they're not super thin like a Huawei laptop bezel, they're actually not that thick at all. It's on par with the MacBook Pro, the new MacBook Pro, the 2018 MacBook Pro. And you have a full-size keyboard too, including a number pad right here. And this keyboard is actually pretty damn good. So the keys are evenly spaced. There's a lot of key travel, and as you can see here, they're also backlit. This keyboard is way better than the butterfly keyboard on Apple's MacBook, which is ironic if you think about it. Apple's MacBook costs like $2,000, and they give you a crappy keyboard that can't beat a keyboard on a budget Chinese laptop that sells for like 300, 400 bucks. The trackpad on this thing is also relatively large for a budget laptop, and it uses Windows Precision drivers, so it's very, very accurate. I mean, I've had no issues with this keyboard or this trackpad at all. Usually with budget laptops, like I've tested a couple of Chuwi laptops in the past, and I couldn't really use the trackpad. I would get frustrated and use a mouse. With this laptop, like I'm being honest here, I actually could use the trackpad without like muttering cuss words to myself. I can actually use this keyboard just fine. Now, unfortunately, you look at the ports, they're a little bit of a mixed bag. So let's close up the laptop. So on the right side of the laptop, you have a USB-A 2.0 port right here. And then next to it is a headphone jack. So that's always good. And then you have a micro SD card slot. And then now you look on the left side of the laptop, you have a mini HDMI out. That's the first of the baffling decisions because who still uses a mini HDMI out? And you have another USB-A port. This is a 2.0. And finally, you have a proprietary charger, AC plug. So you need to charge this laptop using a proprietary charger instead of USB-C, which sucks. So you have to, unfortunately, carry this brick around whenever you want to top up this laptop. This is unfortunate because if Chuwi had just put a USB-C port in this, then you can top up this laptop with USB-C cable, which everybody uses now. Everybody except iPhone users, but everybody else uses USB-C. And you'll have to charge this thing quite regularly too because of the 4K display. Battery life on this is just not that good. So there's a 36 watt-hour battery inside, and it only powers this thing for about 4 hours. So definitely if you're having like a marathon working session, you will need to carry this around. So as I mentioned earlier, the chipset on this thing isn't that powerful, but there is 8 gigs of RAM in there, which is pretty good for a budget laptop, and 256 gigs of internal storage. And playing games is surprisingly okay. So I play Asphalt 9 and Modern Combat 5. Both of these games are pretty graphically intensive. As you can see here, it's handling the game okay. So frame rates would drop below 30 FPS every now and then, but it generally maintain 30 frames per second. And as you can see, the graphics, they aren't that choppy, they're playable. Now likewise, as an office productivity machine, if you're just using this to send emails, go on websites, write Word documents, this laptop handles everything fine. Like the keyboard's excellent and the screen is large, so you can open 2 windows side by side, they don't feel super cramped. So the only part where this processor really holds back the laptop is ironically when you're playing 4K videos. Oh, and another thing, there is no liquid cooling or fan inside this laptop, so it heats up quite a bit when you're watching videos or playing games. In fact, it gets so hot right here. I wouldn't recommend putting this on your lap. You might seriously burn your legs if you're wearing shorts. So you would have to put this on a table, or I don't know, put like an ice pack in between the laptop and your thighs. So as for software, this laptop runs Windows 10 Home, and it's mostly clean. There are a couple of games pre-installed in there, but overall, not too bad. So this is the Chuwi LapBook Plus. For 440 bucks, whether or not it's worth it depends on who you are. So if you are someone to whom portability is key, like you need to lug around your laptop all the time, then I would say no, because this laptop is pretty big and it towers over the iPad Pro, the 13-inch iPad Pro, which I have here, or even the Huawei MateBook X Pro, as you can see here. So and this is the MacBook Pro 13-inch. So no matter what, this Chuwi laptop is bigger than anything else out there. In fact, it had a little bit of trouble fitting into my OnePlus backpack. Let me grab it really quick. Yeah, so this is my OnePlus backpack, and there's a laptop sleeve on the back here. So I've been putting every type of device in here: iPad Pro, MacBook, Huawei laptop, my Dell XPS 13. But this Chuwi laptop does not fit in, you see, because it's too tall. But fortunately, it does fit into the main pouch. But just, you know, this is a big laptop, so if you're someone who needs to lug this around all the time, this is probably a deal breaker. But otherwise, if you don't need to lug this around, if you are using this mostly stationary, like at home or at an office, or if you're like me, who's fortunate enough to live right across from a coffee shop, then this is okay, because then you don't need to lug it around that long. And as long as you're not trying to do other things while watching 4K footage, this is a really good screen. So you can watch Netflix on this, YouTube on this, NBA League Pass, and everything looks great. $440, you get a legit 4K laptop. So this is the Chuwi LapBook Plus. The purchase link is in the description if you're interested. If not, then don't worry, I have a couple other laptops I'm testing too. So that's it for now. Thanks for watching.